You say day 5, I say halfway done. Both are simultaneously true, but talk about a reality check. Most of the league has already played 4 games. Some will be playing their 4th today. Life comes at you fast, but for all 9 teams in the NAL, it's all about how fast their reaction times to their current records are. Welcome back to the North American League, live from Philadelphia HQ. I'm Caliber Jacob Anderson. He's Gabriel Laxing Miralez. He's Davide Foxy Bucci. Boys, can you believe we're halfway done with the round robin at this point already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we're zooming through.
We really are. I mean, like I said, I'm also doing Brazil, and to just be this far into Siege so far right now is, I can't believe we're already this much ahead.
Yeah, as a player, I feel like the season's definitely felt way longer because every single day was more build up and build up, but just being a viewer now, watching it from the outside, it's like, I can't get enough, you know?
I mean, there were times where we would play multiple games all on the same day, obviously don't want to go back to those times, but just remember what it was like when we'd zoom through a whole round robin, 8 or 9 teams in like 4 days as opposed to 5 weeks. I don't want to say those were the days, I just remember what it was like back then.
I mean, like you said, like being a player, I felt like it was a lot slower, whereas like now being a viewer, like this seems so much faster that we're already like halfway into this now.
It's kind of weird what it looks like on this side of the couch, right?
Yeah, it's very
I enjoy it. I enjoy being on this side.
A lot less pressure, tell you that
absolutely.
much. Yeah, especially if you lose a game and you just got to sit there and like it's a slow burn just to get to the next play day.
You guys don't have to perform, but these guys do. This is standings through 2 weeks already donezo. We have a couple more play days left, 2 of them today. Sonic still remain at the top in spite of losing their first game last week. Space Station and C9BC are right there in contention for the top 2 spots, but the story at the bottom is just as interesting here too.
I wouldn't say it's that interesting. I mean, this is kind of where I've seen it shake up. I mean, I guess if you want to talk about the interesting bit of Oxygen being the absolute worst in that, then sure. But overall, I mean, this is, still where I had the standings for myself, and same with Fox.
Yeah, I guess the biggest surprise for me would probably be OXG, like you said, being completely at the bottom. But everything has been so competitive, especially with the teams from the bottom. Los and Wildcard, Luminosity performing pretty well. I mean, every single team that we would expect to be that low definitely has been playing a lot better.
Team that surprised you the most was OXG. Team that surprised you the most, is it also OXG? Or
no, that's Luminosity.
LG?
Luminosity 100%.
Yeah?
I mean, when we ranked these in the beginning, we obviously had those 4 at the bottom, and then Luminosity has exceeded my expectations well above and beyond. I mean, they've been performing and like getting better with each and every single match. And then for your sake with Oxygen, I mean, we figured that, yes, they were at the bottom of the barrel, but to be performing this bad, that's insane to me.
Yeah, your surprise is a good surprise. My surprise is like, oh my God, like how'd they get there? But yeah, Luminosity has definitely been performing. I'm happy to see them doing well.
LG have our very last game of the day against Sonics. You'll have to wait all the way through a couple other matches before we get to that point, which is definitely our matchup of the day. Oxygen still looking for their first win. M80 is their mountain to climb, and M80 had a bit of a bad week last week themselves, so this one's shaping up to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, obviously game 2, I think we're all expecting OXG at some point during this stage to liven up and get that first
They should
win.
win something.
Exactly.
Yes.
Keep it like something close to where that they're able to get more than just 1 point. I'm really excited for C9BC Los. I don't know why, but I got a good feeling about Los. Do I think they're going to win it? We'll have to see. But I'm really excited to see more of Los so far.
And I mean, I would have to say the Luminosity Sonics, I've just been so thoroughly impressed and enjoying every single game that LG has shown us thus far. And like I said, they continue to improve. They continue to be better. So to go against the powerhouses of Sonics currently, I'm very excited to see how well they match up.
This is the point in the stage where we have an idea on how they play. We have impressions, good or bad, about what their performance is like so far. But everyone's just retooling now, right? Is that what you do when you're at this point through a round robin?
Yeah.
You already have the sort of understanding, now you just fix a couple things?
Yeah, you're midway through. You have an understanding of what hasn't worked, what is working, and it's just a matter of, keeping that consistency of improving, or in some teams' case, keeping that consistency and just continuing digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Absolutely. I mean, teams should know by this point what their issues are, what they need to fix if they want a chance at actually making the major.
Yeah.
So let's talk some historics real quick for game number 1. We start day 5 with an interesting one, because DarkZero and Wildcard have only ever played one another when Wildcard was in the North American League. They didn't play as an Australian roster. DarkZero have won every time they've ever played. 5 matches. Wildcard have won a couple of maps here or there, but every single time it's been in a series, DarkZero has pulled out ahead. So are we going to see that thing go up to 6-0 today?
I wouldn't I'm not surprised by that margin by
No.
any means, especially given the powerhouse of DarkZero, where Wildcard has always been the bottom of the barrel. So it's not too shocking to see that result.
I mean, Wildcard is a team that we know always struggled on the attacks, but they had their defenses, and DarkZero has always been an attacking powerhouse, and so that's where we would see DarkZero take advantage of Wildcard. They were always able to win their attacks because they were able to exploit the good defenses from Wildcard. But right now, we see a very shaky Wildcard, better on attack than they are defense.
Yeah.
But we still see a shaky DarkZero, better on defense than they are attack. Their attacks are still finding their footings, but I mean, obviously a lot of their stats have been skewed because of their first week.
Let's talk about DarkZero because, yeah, again, that first week they only played the one game. They're doing their darndest to make sure everybody forgets about it as fast as possible because they played 2 games in week 2. Both of them went exceedingly better, and they also had a couple of switch-ups. So I think they're dead serious on making sure that Sonics game is just a fragment in everyone's memory.
Absolutely. I mean, week 2 was hints at what to expect from DarkZero going forward, and it was almost like a fast DZ that we saw in Brazil, the Brazil Invitational, that we wanted to see come back since getting Nafe on the team. That since getting Canadian outside of the picture, they were able to really adjust their attacks to make it a lot faster and have a lot of redemption and adaptability. And we didn't see that week 1. We saw it week 2, and it looked very promising.
So, I mean, we know DZ being a really slow attacking team has just been the norm, but Troy is not on the team, and now Kobe being in there, not being on a support role. I mean, he wasn't in, it was just, what, Skyscraper, it was those 2 rounds on Thermite, and everyone thought, is this the way they're using him? Not in those last 2 games.
Thankfully not, but a big player that was really highlighted in the game against Los was Pamba, and the way that they were using DarkZero to just really take pressure. So you see here, round 1, right off the rip, they do a classic DarkZero red take. They completely shut down Legacy on red stairs. The rest of the team is behind DarkZero, taking red stairs to cash. Beautiful. And now we're in the next round. Oh no, I believe this is the same round in round 1. And so you just see it was a really step-by-step DarkZero execute where they take the time to clear it out. As soon as they get that control, they're able to just access the rest of the site. And now this is 2 rounds later where they understand red stairs was so easy to take. And Pamba calls it, says we can take red right away. The rest of the team is behind them. They're able to get red stairs control a whole minute faster than they did in that round 1. The rest of the team is behind Pamba. Kobe's able to take the site. The rest of DarkZero floods into the site. And now DarkZero has so much positioning because of how fast that they caught off Los. Los had no chance to get back in the site because DarkZero had everything, and that was just beautiful reading and the fast aggression from DarkZero that we really wanted to see.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that especially with this meta, it's a very aggressive meta in some instances, but especially for a team like DarkZero, I was wondering, you know, how fast are you going to be able to transition into a new playstyle like that? And especially with the players that they have around them, they're moving into that pretty quickly, but again, it matters and it comes down to the consistency, is can they keep that aggressive? Because I can't say that Los is the most formidable opponent to really be testing that against.
Sure.
Where again, you know, they obviously can't play against Sonics again, but there was aggression there. But still, nonetheless, it is better to be seeing this team playing this way and meeting that meta.
Yeah, it was a perfect 6-point week for DarkZero, but it was Space Station and then it was Los, so it's 2 sides of the spectrum on how well those teams are performing and what DarkZero is shaping up against with a new team. For Wildcard, bit of a different story. They still only have the 1 win over OXG. They lost 7-2 to Cloud9 Beast Coast on Consult on Friday. One of the worst attacking teams in the league right now, and they had to go into that Consult game starting on attack first. Needless to say, it didn't go very well.
Yeah, it definitely did not go well. I mean, they did find the win against Auction, but even then, that wasn't great. But, you know, we've already touched up on where their strengths are and where their weaknesses are, and it's always been the front line and the back line. But an even bigger problem that I've been looking at is actually their map pool. Their map pool has stayed very consistent with each iteration of this roster. You're going to look here back to stage 1 of that original results. You know, they got a 2-0 on Bank, great, success. Then played Oregon 4 times, only finding 50% win rate on it, losing to LA, losing Labs. So now you carry this over into the next stage. That's already a pretty poor map pool already, but then you look at the map pool now. They only found a win off Chalet. That was a very close game, beating Oxygen. I would take that with a grain of salt. Oxygen's not looking very well. Then you look at Consulate, got smoked. Then you try to go to the next best thing that is close to Oregon, which is going to be Clubhouse, and you find yourself at an 0-2 deficit already. And the teams already know you like Cafe. They already know you like Bank. So they're going to throw those maps out and force you into a position of playing a very weak map that you're not comfortable on, which it goes to show they don't have an ace up their sleeve in terms of a map pool and a card that they can pull out, that they maybe pull out today, but we have not seen it yet.
Yeah, and best of ones, you get so many bans on both sides that you're able to just completely take away the best maps from Wildcard, put them on maps that they're not very comfortable on, and we know that they have very good defensive players with Bosco and Kansan, but when it comes to new maps, it definitely has shown that they have been struggling to find find their footing in a comfortable spot on those new maps.
Here's me hoping that at some point a North American team pulls out Lair, and if anybody were to do it, maybe Wildcard if they had that sort of trick.
I don't
but
think so.
I
still
saw
not
it in
yet.
Brazil 2 days. I mean, I saw it 2 times last weekend, I should say. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Brazil's already adopting it. It's time for NA to adopt it.
I'm gonna step up. I mean, hey, if Wildcard and the band phase decides they want to try it, more power to
I
you.
think it would be their best bet. in my
I
opinion.
don't. I mean, it would be their
I
best.
want
bet.
it to happen. I'm not holding my breath though.
Nothing else is working so far, but I will say that I don't think Wildcard would be the team to take a 2-layer just
Sure.
because I feel like they're very comfortable in what's known. They want to go somewhere that they're comfortable in.
My question for Wildcard, though, is if we've already identified the problems that they've got on, the players who need to fix it, we think we have an idea of what Wildcard need to fix. How important is the ban phase then? Because if that feels like the initial thing you know about your matchup, even though Wildcard still have some processes that they have to get better.
Whoa, they banned Cafe.
Yeah, like how important is this right here? Club is still on the board, by the way.
I mean,
very
it's looking like it might go to a club. Yeah,
Clubhouse, yeah.
Speaking
It
he
makes
shall
sense.
appear.
I mean, when you're in a situation like this, we talked about teams knowing what their issues are at this point in the stage. Obviously, the issues with Wildcard, regardless if you want to add more maps to your arsenal, you have to make the maps that you do have count.
Work,
This is the
yeah.
3rd time that they're going to Clubhouse. We need to see drastic changes in the way that they defend and attack on it because it hasn't been working so far.
Which I can agree with that to an extent, but again, like this is a situation where it is dire. Like you want to avoid LCQs, you want to avoid playing any sort of qualifier and make playoffs. You should be pulling an ace out of your sleeve here and bringing up a map that DZ is very comfortable on and challenging them to it and counter strat it because you have BB that has tons of experience that can understand it. You have Bosco as well, and the fact you aren't playing into anything like that and you just want to go back to a default map that you've clearly lost twice now.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said it best. They have to be better on it.
We literally just saw the highlights for DarkZero of them playing really well on this map, and Wildcard picking into it seems a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is the easiest route for DarkZero currently because maps where they're able to feel comfortable because they've been playing it for so long, it makes it extremely easy for Nafe to IGL, which was the issues that we saw week 1, was slow to adapt. But Clubhouse is a map every pro player knows how to play it. It's a very fundamentally sound map, very easy to get it down, whereas Wildcard, even though their attacks were a lot better in the weeks that we saw them play Clubhouse, their defenses did not look up to par. Their preset executes on attack were beautiful. The way that they were trying to get plants down, they were competitive against SQ, but their defenses, they just looked like they were just losing fights all over the map, and it's not Wildcard that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing them on Oregon, tucked in corners, forcing people to find them. You can't do that on Clubhouse.
No, I mean, you've said it throughout this. Your attacks are what's going to find you the success here. And thankfully, during Oxygen, their attacks were looking really well. Spiff, Woos, and all of them were performing extremely well, but their backline was weak. But if your backline is weak here on Clubhouse, you're going to have a very hard time on that attacking half as well.
I think our big thing here is that Wildcard starting on defense may give them a bit of a boost going into half number 2 because at least then they can lean into their own setups, their defaults, the ideas for what they've got going into this game. It's just when they make that switch, we talked about Wildcard having good attacks, at least on the speed front, but when they're trying to win attack rounds, they're still bottom half of the league in that respect.
Absolutely. When they get the position, they have been getting very fast into the map with Spiff and Bay. They get position, they set up to go for those basement executes, cash executes, and then they 3-2-1 go. And it's been very nice to see that work. But when their defenses are put on the line, they just hemorrhage kills all over the map. That's what we need to see the big change from their previous Clubhouse into this one, is their defenses.
And that's where we saw them struggle in that last game, was their defense specifically. And if you can't do it on Clubhouse, again, you are going to struggle because that should be your strongest point of contention, is forcing the teams to push into your site setup, whatever that looks like. And like I said, if you cannot do that, and I'm already not comfortable with them picking this map because you've already lost it twice. You showed when you played it the second time that once your aggression was met and you couldn't match that, then you immediately started playing super slow. You were executing late. You were going into sight and losing those rounds pretty decisively. Now, what is the 3rd time? What's going to be your approach?
Yeah, and you put it best, Jacob, that you need to make these defenses count, especially if you're starting on that side, which Wildcard is starting on defense. So if you are even getting a 4-2 split on defense, I wouldn't be that happy with it. I feel like Wildcard needs to make at least a 4-2 or to a 5-1 split if they want a chance at winning it on the flip side, because DarkZero was 2nd in the league currently on their defenses. We've seen them bring maps back and dominate on defense, and their attacks have only been that much better when we literally highlighted against lows. So if you want a chance at keeping it close, winning this game in your wild card, you need to make those defenses stick.
I mean, trying to get a 5-1 half against a team like DZ who's doing really good on attacks right now, maybe a bit of a a bit of a tall task. If they can do it, we'll find out after a very short break while we get everybody else in the lobby. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game 1 after a sec.
It's time for our very first matchup of the day. Jesse, we matched, and we didn't even coordinate it. It's a shame that the colors of Wildcard and DZ do not match. But how do you think they're going to match up in the server, Jesse?
Well, Parker, it's going to be an exciting one. Both these teams obviously have had their ups and downs this stage. Wildcard certainly more downs than ups. DZ looking way better in their most recent weeks. So it's going to be exciting to see. I think DarkZero should come out on top. I think the desk kind of touched on this as a more experienced team. DZ are looking like the team that we expect to find. And it'll be a Deimos to ban us out. On Clubhouse, we have a lot of data because Wildcard have played it twice. DZ have played it once this stage. Wildcard have never banned Deimos before. I was expecting maybe a Ying ban to come out, but Deimos does make a lot of sense. I was expecting the Capitao from DarkZero. Other teams have banned that against Wildcard in the past. I'm expecting an Azami here. It's DarkZero. They love their Azami bans, and she is extremely good at Clubhouse holding Raptors, as well as many other positions. There she goes. And then Wildcard in their last 2 games, they banned Tubarao and Mira as their 2 operators. So they could switch it up again, ban a third off like they did on attack. They will stick with the Mira this time. So sensible operator bans, especially with Deimos just being so powerful these days, and DarkZero really enjoying that operator. Of course, one that we see Pamba run around with all the time, but it's also an operator that Kobilax has really been picking up recently. So smart to take that off of the board as we get into this first round. Parker, excited to see how things turn out.
Alrighty then. The new operator, by the way, of Skopos is in the game. So for those of you that are unaware, the Greek operator on defense, the defender, is now out of quarantine and is available. I'm curious to see if she and her robots will make their debut, but so far, no. It's the first time that we will see her on the board for the North American League, as I believe today is actually the day that she got unshackled. I don't even think she was available yesterday. I think it went into effect today. So whether or not she will be played in one of the quote-unquote major regions will be a fascinating thing to watch. It's just a small point about what is and is not in action. Bay has been exceptional for Wildcard so far. Wildcard, though, having some pretty obvious struggles. They picked up an overtime victory over the only team in the standings that is below them, and that's Oxygen. OXG sits in dead last with 1 point, then it's 2 points. Wildcard low sit 3, then the jump to 6th is a full win as 6 points and up are from 6th all the way through 1st. So Wildcard have their work cut out for them. DarkZero, after I think you could say a slow start, they're at 6 points now, sitting in 5th, tied with M80 and Luminosity. The first round now underway. Operator bands locked in, and hold on a second, DZ will take no prisoners, Jesse. They're storming the bomb site.
Wasting no time at all getting on in. They're in the site now. Kobe, the first one to make that entry through the ash wall, lets Nafe start up that plant to get it down on the ground. Nobody on Wildcard able to respond. Finally, Bosco tries to make a move, taken down by Kobilax. Bay as well, picked up on that return from the roam. They're all coming blue, Parker, but they're just being stuffed out. Bolo takes down Spiker after a trade. Now it's Kansan, Bay, and Spiff in the 3v4, looking to do something here, but Kansan's got a flank coming from top blue. It's going to be Pamba who's trying to find that. Doesn't get the kill, but doesn't need to, just has to pull their distraction away. Will back off. With 4 players left alive for DarkZero, playing this oh so perfectly. Nafe prone next to the defuse kit, guarding it with his life, sees ahead across the bomb site, very close, not quite able to get it this time around though, still does go taken down. Spiff, the last one alive though in the 1v3, and won't be able to hold it down. DarkZero, a great first execute.
Really good job on the play-by-play there, Jesse. I really appreciated listening to that. Thank you for jumping in.
Anytime, Parky.
Now, that's what happens when you overextend just a little bit too much on that bomb site. And Wildcard are far from the first team to ever have this happen to them, Jesse. Time and time again, teams will invest quite a lot in a roam that involves clearing the top floor and that main floor. But if you read into it very early and you assess that we can take garage, we can go down oil pit, we can go down blue, have somebody go down main stairs very quickly, potentially even from kitchen, And you've got 3 avenues to the bomb site that are under watch and under lock and key by the attackers. DZ saw weakness on the side of Wildcard, and they exploited it. And just like that, within the first 45 seconds of the round, DarkZero had the case down and guarded it quite well. With that said, DarkZero take the very first round, and Wildcard, though every single site is available, will not go for that church bomb site down below. Instead, they'll go upstairs to one of the 3 bomb sites that we see most commonly, which is bedroom and gym.
And I think DarkZero are going to be pretty happy about seeing that gym bedroom. When they played this map against Los last week, they had played gym bedroom 3 times, twice on the attack, once on defense. They never lost it. So DZ through stage 2, currently 3-0 on gym bedroom across both sides. They'll look to keep that streak alive as they come in to attack. DarkZero love to go for this cache extension clear. Wildcard reading into that. They will set up very nicely. They've got the shield set up. They've got rotates towards top red. Got a lot of good operators that can exist for a long time over there. Helped out with Valkyrie cameras, helped out with mute jammers. Lots that they can do to try to exist over towards that cache extension. So we'll see if that does continue to be a factor. But with Bolo and the Blitz and a lot of players up towards top Logi, it looks like DarkZero could be planning for another execute that just ends up going direct to site.
These recruits have been seeing some picks as well, as they've got plenty of utility to assist in most bomb sites. Bay will rock with the Commando in the hands of Sentry. Still no new operator. And no shields banned out as well, which means that you can see a Monty be played. Instead, it will be a Blitz in the hands of Bolo. A little bit odd to see Bolo on shield operators when he's such a mechanically gifted player. But there was a lot of conversation on social media over the last couple days, and in fact over the last week, as to how teams can prepare for this style of meta, and it involves being flexible and having somebody who's really, really good on shields. Whether it's Bolo or somebody else, right now DarkZero's off to the races, and Wildcard is tripping them at the starting line. NJR is the last man standing as 4 of the 5 DZ players all die in one fell swoop. In the span of 3 seconds, DZ goes from 5 to 1. Now NJR needs to find something. Bosco, the only one dead from Wildcard, so for NJR, he's got his work cut out for him. A 1v4 with a little bit over a minute to go, and Spiker will decide to take that engagement from Cash right as NJR vaults into CCTV, and down he goes. Wildcard managed to rebuff DZ on that press into the site.
When DarkZero lost Canadian, there was a lot of conversations about they've lost their IGL and how will that impact them. And I think all of those conversations were certainly valid, but maybe a point that didn't get stressed as much as it should have was DZ also lost their shield player. Canadian, notorious for playing Monty, does play some Blitz every now and again as well. We've seen a lot of that even this stage. And with shields being arguably the strongest that they've ever been in Rainbow Six Siege, having a good shield player is vital. Now, Bolo that round just didn't have the intel on the player that was deep inside of Logi. Unfortunately, died immediately on the drop. Hard to judge his shield play too harshly just off of that. Definitely want to see if he can pull out some more of the Blitz throughout this game, some more of the Monty. See how he does, because that didn't feel like a fair shot for Bolo. But it is going to be interesting to see if he continues to be the main shield player. I know Nafe has been playing a lot of the Monty for DZ since they made the role swap and since they picked up Kobilax. So just keep an eye out for that. In 2024, having a good shield player is so vital to the meta. DarkZero, they tried to make a rush with that shield. It immediately got turned on its head, and a round like that is very difficult to pull back. It's very hard to have a plan B. So tough one for DZ, but keep an eye on that going forward, because who plays the shield and how those shields perform will be very important to DarkZero's success going forward.
Wildcard playing against DarkZero today. They also have a match against Los tomorrow, so right now, a relatively easy schedule over the last couple days for Wildcard, especially if you consider that Los hangs out in the bottom 3 with OXG and Wildcard. As for DZ, they're in action tomorrow against the defending major champions, who sit in 3rd overall. If DZ can get a clean 3 points in regulation, they will jump up to tie the Sonics. Keep in mind, this is the first match of the day, so there will be more matches to come. But C9 Beast Coast will be 2 down of them. They have a chance today to vault back over DarkZero. Either way, for DZ, they have quite the challenge ahead of them in their matchup tomorrow. Today is a significantly easier day just based on standings. Maybe not. I mean, Spiff eliminating Nafe. That's the Vigil on red stairs. Now back to the bomb site he goes, and Wildcard sitting quite pretty. Nobody taking any damage just yet on their side of the coin.
Yeah, surprising to see Nafe going down so early. Not typically the player you'd find in the first engagement, but I believe he got picked off by an aggressive window angle. So credit to Spiff to be able to find that pick onto Nafe. That's going to be a lot of secondary utility that's obviously taken off the board. With Striker bringing 2 sets of those instead of just the 1. Not 100% sure exactly what specific utility Nafe was holding, but in any case, it's going to definitely make a dent because DarkZero, they've got a couple of specific goals this round. The Capitao, taking Raptors is very, very difficult. The idea is likely we'll do it with flashbangs, we'll do it with frag grenades, maybe with some Zofia charges as well, but they're out of frag grenades. Bolo, I don't believe, has yet to really contesting with this Raptors player, so it's just going to be flashbangs that are likely to come out and try to deal with Spiker, who's, of course, on that Wamai, playing a very important position on Raptors Garage.
Nice kill by Pamazoo to send the numbers back to even. Not a lot of time for him to get towards the bomb site. 45 seconds to go, and his march up those red stairs will be waited on by one of the players from Wildcard. NJR sprinting on in, a kill towards Rafters. Now a look towards Cash. Scobie has died elsewhere. Diffuser will need to be planted, but a Nitro cell from Bosco claims more than one. Bolo on the flank, coming up red stairs. Nobody from Wildcard seemed to know that at the start, but they hang on for dear life with a big kill on Bolo. And the lead is Wildcard's.
Big play by Bosco to end out that round. Huge C4, gets 2 picks. Perfectly done by the 29-year-old IGL of Wildcard. You like to see that coming through. For DarkZero, you know, they understood that Raptors was going to be a difficult task. They didn't have any frag grenades. Obviously, Capitao got banned out. So I think they kind of thought about it and said, you know what, let's just try to rush the site. Let's try to go up red stairs. Let's try to push the breach. They just didn't have that many angles of attack open. And so it meant that they were very predictable in terms of the positions they were going to be in. I liked NJR's initiative to rush in, get that kill into the Raptors player. But then from there, they still had the majority of their team coming in from the main breach and playing down below. Very predictable from Wildcard. They cleaned that up nice and easy, giving them a 2-1 lead to start this game.
Still no Scopos, so we will watch to see when the Greek operator does show up. Maybe not. Maybe the Greek operator never shows up. I'm not sure. I'm not in charge of her or her Pantheon shells.
5 seconds to go.
She herself obviously is not on the battlefield.
Attackers are moving out to locate.
Quite a very intriguing concept for an operator. You know, I remember the first time I ever heard about the rumors was they said, well, there's an operator in a wheelchair. And I said, I have some questions.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, she's actually not on the field. She's controlling robots in the game. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that sounds pretty sick. And honestly, like, it also just struck me as an idea that why has it not necessarily been explored before? You know, I mean, if you're talking about a game that's based on counterterrorism and bomb defusal as a part of it, I mean, they've had like bomb robots forever that go in and defuse kits. So why not incorporate that sooner rather than later? Either way, finally made its way to the game. And I am very intrigued to see how the operator functions at a pro level. Because as we see with new maps as well, Jesse, allowing pros to experiment with the new operators, the new additions to the game, that's how we tend to know how to use them. We take a lot of cues from the pro scene. Anyway, 1 minute into the round, logic bombs went off. Everybody from Wildcard holding on. The only damage right now being done, it's been done to Dark. Oh, never mind. DarkZero and taking some damage, but they killed Bay. They isolated him above, and it was either that pick or the shield of Bolo.
Yeah, beautiful little entry come on through. Take that opening pick away from Bay, and the rest of the roamers are going to fall off as well. You're talking about Scopos. A lot of people theorize that Scopos could be quite good on Clubhouse. So you maybe go for an aggressive roam up on the top floor and then immediately teleport back to the bomb site if you get pressured out, if you manage to get a kill but are worried about getting cut off. But Bay can't teleport back to the bomb site. He's playing Malusi, so cut off from the window, not able to make that great escape. Maybe an operator they could consider the next time they play this bomb site if they manage to run it back. Still, they're in the bomb site, and they've got some strong utility around them. There's going to be Goyo canisters in sight. There's going to be Electro Claws on these hatches. There's a lot that DarkZero still have to deal with before they can set up their own execute. They have the tools to do it. You know, they've got that Thatcher. They've got a Blitz to help them get on through. So it'll be fun to see how they actually tackle this problem. There is no Hibana being brought, but it's the Ace instead. A bit limited on the hard breach. They've obviously got to use 2 of their Selmas just to get this hatch open. That's 2/3 of all the hard breach they brought, and it looks like they got taken out. They weren't able to explode that hatch, which means that Kitchen Hatch is staying closed this entire time. Even with that last Selma on the side of Nafe, yes, he could make an angle, but he can no longer open this hatch, nor any of the hard breach that Wildcard has set up around the map.
All that hard breach that you talked about is now being put to good use. The final logic bomb will now go. Players from Wildcard with 20 seconds left will at least have their positions revealed. Spiff gets flashed inside of Moto, the follow-up from NJR, but he's wary of the door. No way! Does Spiff win that blind? He almost picks up more than one for his trouble. Nafe getting diffuser down, but it's him in a 1v2. Bolo dies to the flames, and Nafe is finished off. Look at the elation on the face of these Wildcard players. This is anybody's game right now, but Wildcard showed up to play.
The kill feed seemed to show that Bolo killed himself with the Goyo charge. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. But regardless, without too many angles of attack, it's very difficult to get into that bomb site. You saw Spiff playing inside of Moto. That's a position that in, I'd say, 90% of basement executes, unless you lose a crazy amount of bodies up on the top floor. That hatch gets open. You deny that position. You make it impossible for somebody to play there, because if you're rushing down main stairs, somebody in Moto is extremely dangerous. And DarkZero, because they only brought 1 hard breacher, because they couldn't get anything open with just the Ace, especially after their 2 Selma charges got tricked, they had very few angles to work with, again, pushing into that bomb site. Really wish we were able to see a Hibana come out there, maybe even a Maverick, maybe even just some can openers being brought as secondary utility. None of that was alongside DZ, and so they really struggled with their angles, despite getting that great opening pick. When the utility is that heavily stacked in favor of Wildcard, of course they're going to win the round. So that's a 3-1 lead now, as the tactical timeout does get called for DarkZero. If you're Wildcard, especially being the underdogs in this matchup, you got to be feeling really good.
Yeah, I mean, you've burned a timeout very early on. I am so shocked at the way that this is starting. DarkZero obviously have had stumbles so far this stage. You saw it in their matchup against Sonics, but beyond that, it was 2 regulation wins to carry them to the position that they are at. And DZ, again and again and again, this will have to be mentioned, are still adapting to that new system that was put in play by Nafe. They have a new IGL. Presumably the team has a new identity. They're going to play differently. That's going to take some time for them to find their footing. Wildcard, though, came out swinging. This was a team with very little to lose. They were already towards the bottom of the standings. And honestly, on paper, this team shouldn't be where they're at. They should be better off. But they themselves made a couple roster moves. And Bay has been a huge standout for this team. We can't see the kills, so we don't know exactly how he's doing right now because the HUD is still broken. But I assume he's probably doing semi-well.
Hard to say anybody's doing poorly when you're up 3-1, even if you're not contributing in terms of the kills. Often that means that you are helping out with utility or with calling, or in many oftentimes even just baiting. Sometimes can work out if it gets your teammates kills. That will do. So we'll see the hard breach coming back a little bit stronger this time for DZ. They've got the Maverick in the hands of NJR, an operator he's very proficient with, and you always got to be weary of those C4s. Of course, with the new outlines, not new anymore, but it can be very dangerous playing Maverick these days. But NJR does survive. The C4 doesn't make it through the gap, and so it won't deal any damage to him. Makes the wall soft, and now they can open it up with a frag grenade or maybe one of the breaching charges. The pistol will also do for Bolo. So that gets them into CCTV. The next option, of course, is going to be Cash. There's 2 bodies that are playing either Cash or top red. If they can get a couple of kills and or stall it a lot of time, they're going to set Wildcard up to be in a really strong position. But of course, that's why DZ have so much pressure coming in with both Grim and 4 frag grenades as secondary utility.
There's a Zoto canister in hand of Kansan now, sitting inside of construction. The lineup from Bosco will go towards the breach, and it claims 2 again. Bosco repeats his success from several rounds ago, and it blows DarkZero up. Kobe and Bolo gone. Pambazoo will join them in the afterlife. How quickly this round has turned. Nafe and NJR is the last 2 standing, and Bosco will see Nafe losing the engagement, though. Nafe has the position. NJR looking for something. Another Nitro Cell. Now it's from Kansan. And suddenly it's all up to NJR. Bosco is retrievable, but he might just bleed out. Or NJR secures the kill. It still gives them some information. Wildcard will adeptly fall back and leave NJR in this position to try and clutch out a 1v4. Through the door frame, looking towards Logi. Cold as ice, another nitro cell. 4 of the 5 kills for Wildcard in that round, Jesse, coming from explosives.
Yep.
Oh my, Wildcard another round.
Yeah, I think DZ a little bit annoyed by those nitro cells, I'm sure. 4 kills, and then 4 kills as well from Bosco with C4s. He's had 2 2Ks with separate nitro cells in the same part of the map as well. Both times the C4 coming out to CCTV, as you brought up. So nice to see some of those explosives really coming in handy for Wildcard. For DZ, you got to imagine they need to be more ready for that. I mean, there was a Valkyrie on the board. They had an IQ. It was difficult to say if any of those IQ pings actually came out to guide those nitro cells, but regardless, the intel was clearly there from Wildcard. They had nobody going down below. Despite having some tools to counteract those C4 plays, they just couldn't get it going. A problem that people have had with DarkZero in the past has been their pacing. And when you're a particularly slow team, when you get stalled out, when you see these obstacles, oftentimes it makes you very predictable as to where you're going to be standing, where you're going to be entering from, and that's where C4s can shine the brightest. DZ always grouping up, always being exposed to those nitro cells. Really like that from Wildcard, being able to read into that. 2 separate gym bedroom defenses. I said DZ had never lost it this stage coming into today. Well, they've now lost it twice, and they lost it in 2 completely different ways. That's concerning.
Don't know what the technical pause is here, but yeah, 4 rounds in a row by Wildcard, and it's been done by pugilism, as you can see. It's just been all kills for all of those rounds. They haven't had to worry about a counter disable, and obviously since they're not on attack, they don't have to worry about shepherding that case in and getting the diffuser down. It's good to see, though, that DarkZero are still in good spirits despite the results. I mean, it is Clubhouse, and you are on attack. There will be challenges here. There will be stumbling blocks, and you will hope that when you switch sides, you can do the same thing that your opponents did to you when they were on defense. DarkZero right now are looking at a 4-2 half to go to overtime, though. It is still within the realm of possibility that Wildcard can take this final round of their defense. It would be a 5-1 half, and then things become significantly more challenging for this DZ squad. Anyway, technical issues are lingering on. We've got a break ready. We'll be back when it's all wrapped up and done. We are back in action for the final round of the first half. Wildcard sitting on a beautiful lead right now, 4-1. DarkZero on the bad side of Clubhouse, admittedly. But you're never going to be in a good headspace when you go down 3 rounds this quickly.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, especially like losing all 4 in a row. Like if DZ had like lost the first 4 rounds and then won round 5, you're thinking, okay, you know what? We've maybe found an answer. We're starting to battle back. We got this. They won round 1. They have now lost 4 straight. The momentum is firmly in the hands of Wildcard, so that makes this really awkward for DarkZero. They're going to have one last attack. It is vital that they get this attack and get that 4-2 half. Such a better position compared to being at 5-1 going to the half swap. So that's going to be really important. I don't like to read into operators on the attack before they get locked in, but it seems as though we will see a Monty being brought by Nafe. Again, this is an extremely powerful operator. The second time we're seeing a shield out of DarkZero. Instead of Bolo on the Blitz, it's Nafe on the Monty. An operator that I think he has had some poor results with so far this stage. I'm thinking back to that Sonics game where things didn't go exactly to plan with Nafe on Monty. But even still, this operator is very, very good. Week 1 was a long time ago, and I think DarkZero have gotten a lot better since week 1. So I'm excited to see what he can bring. It's also a really good answer to Raptors. You know, you banned out Capitao. You couldn't get Raptors control in round 3. Monty's a really good way to try to deal with that problem.
It's not the first time that DarkZero is bringing a shield, but obviously with different application. You're not going to have Bolo on Blitz, which again, I mean, for somebody of Bolo's mechanical skill, I always wonder why they put players like that onto shields, but DZ clearly have an answer to that question that we might find out in the post-match interview. If DZ wins, of course. So slower round by most metrics. Look at this hold on the main floor. Spiff is very active in how he wants to engage. Easy, we're clearing basement, and now we'll turn towards the actual bomb site.
Yeah, there's still people pressuring Spiff, though. A lot of bodies focused towards him. It will be more focused on the main wall at the moment. Getting this open with the Maverick is no easy feat, but Bay actually didn't bring C4s on Bandit. He's got barbed wire instead. So he won't be able to hard punish this like you'd usually see a Bandit do. See, barbed wires can be really, really good on that bomb site, so not saying it's the wrong decision. Maybe stepping in front of that doorway was the wrong call from Spiff, though. Gets his toes shot out by Pambazu.
No, I mean, it seems kind of silly to die to getting shot at your feet, but I mean, it's hard to play if you lose the ankles below. Impact's tossed out by Spiker to try and slow the advance of Nafe's Montaigne, but it is not doing the trick. Pambazu is waiting for his head to show up just for a second. And Kobe's also right there. Spiker drops, catches Kobe off guard, and a little bit of damage is done to two different players from DZ. Bolo gets swung by Bay, who again, been a standout so far for Wildcard, but that Monty will be a problem, and he's on rafters looking to pressure the actual bomb site. Bay sees him. Does not want an engagement. Hold on, Bay wins that. How does Nafe lose the duel through the window? DZ in tough shape with 30 seconds to go.
Ridiculous play by Bay to start us off. They equalize the man advantage with that, but he's looking for more. Still in top red, an incredibly important position. The sledge will get them in, but of course with the Monty, planting's going to be a bit harder for them. Out of nitro cells, Bosco is the only one that brought one, and he used it earlier. Still Bay on the red stairs in advantage here. The plant starts from Pambazu. No pressure from down below, but somehow Kansan, he finds the angle. He just found a swing and he got the head. Bay for the final one, and that's going to be a simple round being closed out again by Wildcard.
A 5-1 half, Jesse?
That's crazy.
A 5-1 half. That is a wild scoreline. And DZ cannot be happy with that. I mean, with the way the clubhouse is played out, you expect the defenders to win more rounds than the attackers. But in North America, clubhouse is actually an attacker-sided map as of right now. It's 42-58, so it's not that different, right? But still, it shows that us saying it's a defender-sided map might be a little bit out of date in the current meta and with these current teams. But also up is down and down is up at the moment. Border is a defender-sided map. Chalet is an overwhelmingly defender-sided map, which is very odd to see. But we've still also only got a small sample size for all of these maps. Clubhouse has been played the most. So if there's any map that's going to point us in a particular direction based on the numbers, it will probably be Clubhouse. But still, I do not like that first half for DarkZero whatsoever.
No, but I will back up those numbers even farther. On defense should be DarkZero. Their
attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Wildcard have only a 40% win rate on the attack. If they win 40% of their attacks, they should still be good enough to win this game in regulation before they hit overtime. But again, DZ are extremely proficient on the defensive half. It's been their strong suit since picking up Kobe Lax, since moving their roles over. So this will be where they bounce back. But for me, the question is still going to be the mental. You know, you can be the greatest defensive team in the world. If you're tilting, you're tilting. And that can be something that even the best teams in the world will struggle with at times. Maybe not the highest pressure environment. It's only a regulation game against Wildcard, but even still, it's these games, it's these moments that can really define a season. And the BO1s, while DZ's in a good spot right now, they will add up. They will be a problem later on.
It's a great skin, by the way, that we just saw on that Type 89. I'll wait for Kansan to pull it back out, and I want to see if Wildcard can keep up that same pace that DZ brought in their very first round. It's funny because you can take Troy Canadian out of the team, but you can't take the Troy Canadian out of the team. And sometimes DZ are a little bit too slow, though I will say, I did not see that same stuck in the mud style of gameplay that DZ had at points. And that's been one of the bright spots for DarkZero. They do seem a bit more nimble. Harder for them to do that on defense.
Certainly. I mean, they're going for a full anchor strategy. Bolo, we've seen him do some crazy things on these staircases before, and that's a great headshot to start it off. Takes down Bosco. Really putting the pressure on now. Your Maverick's gone. And another one, too. Spiker continuing the pressure. Bolo, he's got no reason to leave. Why would he when he's hitting shots like that? Continuously, players will pressure him. There's two more bodies up at the top of the staircase and want a piece of them. Finally a flash, though, will send him back, but still 2 huge kills off the board. Bolo's going to be feeling very, very happy about that one. And now Wildcard down to just 3 members alive. They lost their Maverick, they lost their Buck. So much good utility off the board. They have Kansas still on the Habana, but this is going to be a very tricky push to navigate in a 2-man disadvantage.
Kansan will go for the drop. Kills need to be had by Wildcard. They need to happen yesterday. That's Kansan eliminating Bolo. Nafe taking down Bay will give the numbers back to DZ, though. And Bolo being the only one lost. That's good for DZ. Kansan circling around. We'll have to watch for Pambazoo now as he looks to stop that diffuser in its tracks. And it's NJR to actually get the final kill. Spiff attempted that diffuse plant, but DZ beats them. And now Pambazoo has something to say. A bit of an oddity, as he tends to be one of the more quiet players on DarkZero, who are, at this point, fighting for their lives in this match.
One player who's not quiet throughout the stage, nor in that round, was Bolo. He's been the best player on DarkZero this stage. He was 27 and 21 coming into this game, more kills than any of his teammates, and then having a big moment on those stairs. Again, he is very familiar with this position. I believe it was over the offseason. He was playing Valkyrie on those stairs, and he got like a 3K just with the Deagle. Played exceptionally well there, so very, very used to playing that position. This time plays it with the primary weapon, still managed to deal so much damage to the enemy team and start them off on the right foot. That could be a way back into it for DarkZero. If they can really catch Wildcard off on these opening picks, they could spiral that into a lot of good round wins. Wildcard are actually the worst entry team in the entire league. They've only won 37% of their opening engagements prior to the start of the day. So if that's an area where DarkZero can capitalize, if they can keep getting these early round man advantages on defense, that could be their key to get back into this game and maybe even push this to overtime, or if they're crazy good with it, a 7-5 win.
The newest operator still not played just yet for anybody that is watching, though we have seen plenty of recruit play up to this point. 20 seconds in, still a late setup being done by DarkZero, but that's okay because Wildcard do not have any real interest in pressuring this DZ team. Instead, the focus, open up that wall. The electrification is too much to handle for a lot of these teams, and instead of bringing EMPs and an ace, we often just see the Maverick get brought because, well, Maverick's got a great kit and a great gun. Looks like that wall's now been opened up, which will give an entry point to CCTV, which is not where the bomb site is, for the record, but is still a very important avenue that needs to be taken by the attackers for a couple reasons. Number one, rotates. Number two, so you can control cash and eventually control construction, because if you do not control construction, it is extremely challenging unless you go for an all-in execute on weight room for you to be able to pull off a successful attack on this bomb site.
All right.
My God. What a shot from Kansan, and certainly will be a highlight that we will see over and over again. I don't even think Pambazoo was on the screen for more than a nanosecond.
Yeah. Kansan exceptionally good at that. Leads the league in headshot percentage, 71%. Adds to the total on that. Extremely good with his aim. Never been criticized for that. Leaves Bolo kind of in an awkward spot. He rotates down to the basement as his partner in crime, Pambazoo, on that cash extension did go down early. They've got Nafe down below site as well, but it's Bolo who strikes back. It's his favorite staircase, Parker. Once again, finds Spiker to equalize that man count and get back to the bomb site. Beautifully done by him, rotating all the way around. And now that kind of leaves the question, are Wildcard going to expect another flank? Because Nafe is still inside of Secret. He could still lurk up those red stairs. And if he were to do that, since they've already cleared out 2 of the roamers, since they know one of those roamers went back to site, they might not be aware of any shenanigans that Nafe is trying to pull.
Nafe does like these lurking rolls and flanking rolls that are so necessary in this current meta that we see. Bosco's being watched by the Evil Eye, and that will be Spiker on drone duty for his team. Pambazoo for DZ. NJR, the one who put down that Maestro cam in the first place, will get the job done. And now go on to cams with 20 seconds left. The fire that lingers will slow down Wildcard's advance, if not outright stop it. No duels to be won by Wildcard here. Last one standing is Spiff as he breaches into the bomb site. Diffuser might as well be a mile away, and it's an impactless exit kill for Spiff as the timer hits 0. 2 in a row for DZ, as Wildcard's momentum has completely been blunted at this point.
Closer than I thought they'd get in that last second execute. He had 2 players left alive, NJR and Nafe. NJR just 1 shot away, but Spiff just didn't really have the time for it. And they're kind of falling into similar traps to what DZ were falling into, right? Struggling with that cache extension, not being able to clear out those roamers efficiently, despite the fact that they got their first pick. Even after they found that, they stalled out. There was no flank from Nafe. He ended up just dropping oil pit and garage, got off back. Oh, that's got to be 1 pixel, I swear to God, from Kansan. Just ridiculous shots, but it doesn't matter. If you get your opening pick and then you let the rest of the roamers escape and you don't do anything with the map control that you were able to take. Yes, they had construction control. Yes, they could sit on the windows, but they weren't actually able to turn that into an execute. Great Maestro play coming out from NJR, one of his favorite operators, one of the best anchors in the game. Good to see him performing. Not had to be in too many gunfights so far this game, but he's very good when he has to get into them.
This is the DZ team that on paper we knew would eventually pick up the pace. Bolo sitting at 4 kills, 3 deaths. Bay leading the way on his team, tied with Kansan, 4 kills apiece. Spiker and Bosco have had a rough go of it for this entire stage, and those woes are not going away today, as neither of them have found a single kill since the rehost, but we've also had 2 separate tech issues that have prevented us from keeping accurate numbers on kills. My back of the napkin math based on kills should have Kansan at the top of Wildcard, but I'm not trusting any numbers these days.
Especially not yours.
That was very hurtful.
Sorry, it was right there.
It was. You know what? You did bust my chops. That was a very good one. I'll give you that. Either way, exact same look from Wildcard as it's Groundhog Day. Trying to get open this CCTV wall, which is the actual bomb site this time. And, you know, it's some ugly carving from that blowtorch, but getting the job done.
NJR Nitro being held, and it will be tossed. Takes down Bosco. That is the danger of playing Maverick. They're so susceptible to Nitro cells, and we see that coming through. It's something that Wildcard attempted a couple of times on their own defenses, but this is the first time we actually see a kill through the map holes. That's going to put a huge problem in the face of Wildcard, because how else are they going to open up this wall? Yes, they have 2 more can openers. Those are being held by Kansan, but A, he's on the other side of the map, currently inside a strip. It's going to take him a while to rotate over if he even wants to. I suppose they have the Selma charges as well to come through, but that Electroclaw B is going to be the second biggest problem. So lots of issues they got to get through. They do have the bodies still here to do so, and they're hunting for Kobe, who actually got into a bit of an engagement, but with the Boss G on the long angle, this is an extremely scary gunfight to take. They've got 2 players hunting him in the basement. Will they be able to capitalize on it with a kill?
The drone's been handled, and now there's some follow-up from the actual cloaking gadget of Kobe as he backs away and away and away. There'll be this pixel angle now held in blue. Kansan is there, and a follow-up is won by Spiff. So both members of Wildcard able to take him down, but look at the HP of Spiff. 7 HP, that is it. You sneeze on him, and he will be out of action. Wildcard have equalized these numbers, losing Bosco to that Nitro Cell earlier in the round, but their work is cut out for them, as now they've lost Bay. Spiff is also that dead man walking still. And Wildcard don't look any closer to getting into the objective play. Well, maybe if Nafe looks in the wrong direction. Pamazoo taking down Spiker, a re-aggress from Kansan, but he loses it to NJR, and Spiff is taken care of from the same player. NJR sealing the deal on that round, and the comeback for DZ is almost complete. 3 rounds in a row from the team in purple.
I have a lot of numbers, but one thing I don't track, which I would love to get my hands on, is what the win rate of that bomb site is for the attackers when they fail to get the main wall open. I know it happened once earlier this stage, a couple of weeks ago inside of North America, so it's not impossible, but it's definitely not easy. When the Maverick went down, there was no way to get those bandit batteries off the wall. They didn't have any ability to open up the CC walls, so it meant that all of that push basically just came through construction, and it came through top red, and that made things very, very simple for DarkZero to close it out. Nafe got an early pick, was eventually traded out, but it didn't matter too much. The Nitro cells were good, and NJR, maybe the most reliable player in the world, sitting inside the bomb site, grabbing his easy kills when he knows the angles are favorable for him. That will count, that will prompt, I should say, another tactical timeout, this time from Wildcard. And I told you, Parker, not only is Clubhouse defender sided, as you brought up, but DarkZero are the best defensive team in the world. And Wildcard so far are finding that out the hard way.
Yeah, look at what you see on the bottom of your screen. A single attacking round victory. So we can take those numbers so far through North America on Clubhouse and throw them in the trash. 48 rounds played before this matchup began. And 52 to 48% in favor of the attackers is just not holding up right now one bit. DarkZero's lineup is locked in, and well, as you can see, plenty of explosives, 4 nitro cells on the board. You've also got the ability to slow them down. The Electric Claw will slow them down. The Mute Jammers will slow them down. The Zoto canisters will slow them down. Toxic gas as well. So DZ had an idea of what their composition wanted to look like, and they actually nailed it. They only made one small change. They don't want the Hibana. They want an ace instead. The other 4 operators, the Ram, the Maverick, the Buck, and the Grim, are all locked in, irrespective of what DZ is bringing. So Wildcard think they've got the tools for the job, and they don't really care what DZ brings to the table.
We've seen that ace over Hibana pick play out well so far this game. No, I'm joking. Obviously, they have a lot more tools that DZ didn't have when they made the same decision to bring ace instead of Hibana. They've got a Maverick in the hands of Bosco. They're going to have can openers as well being brought by one of these attackers as well. So there's lots of hard breach to go around. I don't think they're going to have the same problem. Bolo, how does he keep getting away with it? It's again the same staircase, Parker. It's not 2 kills this time. It's only 1. So I guess Wildcard can consider themselves lucky for that. But it's so consistent from that position. He's a scary man right there.
I mean, this again will just go back to what I said about somebody of his mechanical skills. He is not the player that you want to put on an operator that does not have a gun in your hands. You want Bolo shooting, and he's doing just that. Oh boy, is he shooting. So, Wildcard, down a player. Yet again, this defender struggle that we are witnessing is leading to a huge degree of pain for these attackers. DZ suffered through it first, and now it's Wildcard having to take their lumps.
90 seconds to solve this puzzle. They've got Grim, so they can use these beehives likely to get inside of blue or elsewhere where they want to try to drop that. They're considering dirt at the moment. They're just droning through it. Once they drone far enough, they'll find Kobilax, who's on that mute. There he is, shotgun in hand. Very scary to push a shotgun inside of dirt tunnel. I don't know if that will prompt Kansan to choose a different direction, but I guess they're thinking with 2 players and a flashbang, we might be able to make this work. Here they come down dirt tunnel. That's going to mean they have dirt as part of their execute. They'll likely have some players blue, and then it looks to be kitchen hatch as well. Still a lot of options. These beehives, they're good, bro. They're good enough.
Kobe's getting flashed out. He's still on the ground. Kansan the swing around, and he looks for the follow-up after he's already picked off NJR. Kobe is bleeding out. Still retrievable at this point, but how effective will he be? Wildcard looking like they're on the precipice of match point. It's Nafe and Bolo now to hold down the fort. After Spiff was picked so early on in the round, it has been Wildcard the rest of the way. Nafe lets it. No way. Sonics did this to DZ, and now DZ will do the same to Wildcard. A lesson hard learned. Bolo with a kill as well, and Wildcard had that round in hand. Nafe dies, and it's Spiker and Bolo in a battle of wits. 10 seconds left as Spiker will drop, grab Diffuser, and he'll try to force Bolo out of his position. The timer will favor DZ at this point. A successful stick, but Bolo gets the entry and the exit kills. And a round that should have been won by Wildcard is won by DZ.
I can't tell whose play I like better between Bolo and Nafe that round. Bolo, an exceptional opening pick up on the main stairs. Then we see the play coming out from Nafe. It's so big brain to sit underneath the hatch, wait for that plant to go down, and then the flick right after to kill the guy dirt tunnel. Beautiful stuff. And then Bolo clutching up the 1v1. Of course he does. I think I'd give the edge to Nafe. I think Nafe was a little bit more impressive for me, but Bolo gets the 3 kills. It's close. Both players played absolutely exceptional. The 2 23-year-olds on DarkZero, the 2 oldest players on this team, actually, really stepping up big in this round to continue the winning streak and tie this game. A match that once looked almost a foregone conclusion when it was 5-1 Wildcard has been battled back to a tie matchup.
I cannot believe they did not bother to drone out Nafe in that position or even think that he would be there. Whose call was that? Who got that so wrong that you can go for effectively a dead drop and not be aware of them being in such close proximity to you? It is
10 seconds to insert.
genuinely, it is quite puzzling. And if I was Wildcard, I would be dumbfounded after that one. I would love to hear the comms
Attackers are
basically saying, how the hell did we not see this guy and whose fault is it? Who droned that? Because that round should have been won. It should be 6-4. It is not. And overtime looks very likely.
You gotta imagine that might be a little bit tilting. A run out could be even more tilting. Nafe will try it. Oh my god, he's right on the other side. He's gonna hear those shots. He's gonna know there's somebody out towards his left. Does he go for it or not?
He's losing his window, though. Look at how far away that silhouette has gotten.
Making the decision. Now that guy's pretty much gone. Bay repels up and goes for it, but repelling on the other side of the wall means that it won't be a frag coming out for Nafe. They're definitely aware of that. Good choice from Bay to choose that angle of the wall to repel up and not the other one. Means that he gets to keep his life and there will be no opening death from Wildcard, at least not yet.
Oh, count your lucky stars if you're Wildcard, because your entry so far on this side of the coin has been dreadful. DZ has been eating you alive. So the fact that Wildcard will make it through the first minute of this round with all 5 players still on the board is frankly a cause for celebration. They lose one right after I finish saying that. Good Lord, poor Spiker, who's having a rough go of it. Really well below what I'm sure is his preference and his expectations, but you have to begin to ask, is that dragging Wildcard down this stage and in this matchup?
Well, they're going to have to find something here. Another man disadvantage to make the execute work. They've got construction control, so that's something that they have going for them. They've got gridlock track stingers as well to stop any shenanigans coming up from Nafe. This is the same position he wanted to play in the last time they attacked this bomb site. He didn't go for a flank last time, and I think he might make the same call here. They're going to have logistics control as well, meaning this push is likely to come over from the Logi side. Kansan over on the main bridge too. They've got a lot of angles, which I do like, but the angles are also very good for DZ, who get not 1, not 2, but 3 right at the start of this push, leaving Spiff all alone in the 1v5. He says, what happened to my team? Well, they all died, and that's match point for DarkZero as they go up 6-5 in this game.
Could we have a 6-0 half for DZ? It is really quite astonishing to see what is happening to Wildcard. This is a team that through the first half was 5-1, and you think, okay, great, this matchup is basically over. We're going to skate on right out of this. Wildcard's going to take 3 points. We prepare ourselves for OXG M80 next on deck. And that's that, right? Well, wrong. Wildcard have a chance to do the funniest thing possible and win this round flawlessly and send us to OT and then have us go, where was this previously? But they've taken their time out. They've swapped up their operators. They've swapped up the way they want to attack these bomb sites. And to no avail whatsoever, nothing is working for Wildcard. They are in a terrible, terrible spot. And the longer this match goes on, the better DZ looks.
We're starting to get into the we're very concerned category for Wildcard. They're now do or die, round 12, match point for DarkZero. This has to be where they finally get their feet underneath of them. They haven't seen an attacking round win since round 1. It's been a long time, very defender-sided game between these two teams here on Clubhouse. It'll be the clash from NJR, a new operator this game being brought out, likely to control. Sometimes you see the clash over by Rafters to help out in case a Monty pushes up. There's no Monty this time around. Could be just playing towards red stairs instead. At the moment, sitting inside of Cash, hopping on cams, helping out his teammates. It's Pamba with the Boss G down at bottom Raptors and Bolo up above on the Legion. If they're going for a Raptors take, again, without the Capitao, they're going to fight a lot of resistance. And look at this. The player's right on the door. This could be a disaster.
Could be. But then they wait. Panbazoo eliminates Spiker. The bad day does not get any better. Panbazoo now has free reign inside of Garage. Might have to fight his way out of this position, but Wildcard will be down a player again, losing another body a minute into the round. You are in such terrible shape on attack if you are in a perpetual 4v5 the way that Wildcard has been. The fact that some of these rounds have been closer is honestly a testament to Wildcard's improvements as a team, but it doesn't really seem like they are learning. They're changing things, they're trying things. It's not getting them anywhere.
And they finally trade Pamba, going for more. Spiff says, let's take things into our own hands. 2 kills right below the bomb site. All of a sudden, that's man advantage flipped back the other way. Maybe this could be the opening that Wildcard need. They also got the main breach open, not something they were able to do the last time they attacked onto this bomb site. So it seems to be victories all around. A round that started off a little bit awkward for them has switched back towards their favor, but they still don't have Raptors control. They might be going for more of a construction-sided take. I think that's where a lot of their players were positioned. They've got a couple of guys up on the roof at the moment. They'd still love to be able to get a pick onto Raptors if they could. There are 60 seconds for them to make up their minds. Don't be too eager, though. If you jump into this garage and the angle's being held by Bolo, you just know for a fact he's going to punish you.
Is Bolo now under fire, still on this Raptors position, and a Nitro Cell will kill Bosco Baydai shortly after. There goes Kansan, and it's Spiff against the world. A flawless second half for DarkZero. It's possible. They haven't dropped a round yet. Spiff will need a 3K to keep this going. Pambazoo will hit him with the GG as the clash slows him down inside of the sights. In garage, the final kill comes out, and it's DarkZero's matchup. They win one attacking round, then it's all Wildcard, then it's all DZ. In a very lopsided defender matchup. Good grief. DZ pick up the 3 points, and it's a big game for them.
I am going to be shaking in my boots when I see that DZ defensive win rate after this game. They were already the best defensive team coming into it. That will only get even stronger for them. They completely dominate in that second half, and I got to shout out Kobe Lax, not a player that's had the best start in his rookie season, but that final round, he certainly stepped up big. Love to see it coming out from him and the rest of DarkZero. Well played by them all.
That's it for our very first matchup, but we've got plenty more coming up, including M80 versus OXG next. We'll see you in a moment.
Attackers have dropped the bomb. 10 seconds to go.
The second longest winning streak amongst NAL teams continues as DarkZero takes down Wildcard. Fox, you called it. You said a 5-1 half was what Wildcard probably needed to win this game. They had a 40% attacking percentage coming into today. That should have been enough. All they needed was 2 attacks. That's all they needed in order to win this thing, and DarkZero still won with a perfect half.
I mean, it should have been. I mean, that's all they needed was the 5-1, but the 5 is all they got after it swapped sides. I mean, first, let's commend Wildcard for the way that they played on defense. It was really well orientated around the utility. Every single moment, the Cade was blocking DarkZero. We saw a couple Bosco big C4s. Those C4s were detrimental at shutting down DarkZero. But once the sides swapped, oh my God, it was like a whole different DarkZero. They were holding their ground. They got so many opening kills. Bolo was locking down that main stairs area. There wasn't really a moment where Wildcard looked like they could really get an opening kill, let alone get into the map.
Yeah, and for Wildcard, I mean, you just said it, but I thought the utility game was extremely impressive. I think that was some of the best util I've seen it out throughout Clubhouse in my history of playing this game. But yeah, then once it immediately switched to their attacking side, that is where they immediately fell off. But it goes back into what I said. Clubhouse is a very default map, so sure, you might have found success, but now you have to do it on the other side. And if you can't do it on the other side, what is the point?
The way you were hyping up DZ's attacks made perfect sense, and then they only go and win one, and it was the one where Wildcard had nobody on site and they were able to just storm downstairs and take it quickly. Why couldn't they win another attack?
I mean, it's more so like we're in a meta of Siege where if like one round on attack can literally make or break the entire rest of the game. Like, that's exactly what DZ did.
That's what happened here. Yeah.
One attack and then closed it out on defense.
I mean, DarkZero was just getting held back by the utility from Wildcard. Wildcard wasn't letting any of those rat plays on the red stairs affect them. They kept hatches and walls K-trick, and it didn't look like DarkZero was answering to that correctly. They were really playing a pick game and trying to play that fast, aggressive sort of attacks, but Wildcard was so good at stalling it out. They were able to impact trick the kitchen hatch late rounds. They were forcing DarkZero to go for these uncomfortable executes, and that's what kept them ahead. But like Laxer said, all you need is one attack, and that's all DarkZero needed, because once they swapped, the club is all about the attacks. It's how you win the map. And I mean, DarkZero played it very well. They held their ground, but Wildcard didn't really look like there was any trade potential in any of those 1v1s that they were losing.
Yeah, it was two very different defensive halves in terms of how those rounds were won, but when you have moments like this, Bolo and Nafe both in the midst of a 2v4, this thing was just almost perfect start to finish for those two guys specifically.
This was the one round where Wildcard looked like they were going to break it to that match point. They had the dirt, they had the kitchen hatch, they had everything they needed. They didn't have information on what was below them. Nafe played this beautiful. He just played the trigger discipline, waited for the plant to go down, counted it down, and he was able to secure it and then put the time on Wildcard's backs. He stays alive, gets the dirt pick, Bolo from across the map gets the blue player, and now you're in a position where it's a 1v1. Bo's gonna do what he does best, just stall at the time. You have everything on the defender's side. It's Wildcard's game to lose because they have to try to make the plants go down. And what a beautiful round start from Wildcard. Where they messed up was just the discipline, and obviously when you're losing so many attacks to not being able to get into the map, losing the first pick, it was probably an unfamiliar situation for them to be in to even get that far. So that's why they just missed drone Nafe. Nafe put a great player in a great position, and he made something happen.
Yeah, I mean, you just said everything best that I couldn't say outright because you took that first. But I mean, Nafe in that position, I mean, realistically, you should never be able to sit there. In any case scenario, you saw all the destruction, you saw the floor being exploded. Like, the fact that Nafe was able to play in that spot and no one from Wildcard to check that is insane to me. Like, I would never just think, like, I'm gonna sit right here underneath the hatch that's exposed, and no one goes in and looks, and it just goes to show, one small error like that, when it's entirely your favor and in your round, and you lose it like that, that's what cost you the game. That could have put you in OT. That could have made it, possibly be an 8-6, 7-8. But that one small thing costed you the entire match and even the chance of earning points.
Yeah, and I think Nafe was sitting under the hatch in that moment. He's throwing up a prayer, 100%. He's just hoping that nobody comes around the other side of the hatch to come look at him, or that no one tries to drone that section out or anything.
He was holding his breath, and he was holding for that potential opportunity. And once he saw that no one was going to check him, he tucked himself as far as he could in the corner and waited for everything to play out.
And of course, the other guy that you want on your side in a 1v1 scenario like that is Bolo. But let's get Nafe on the line to talk about that round and how this game went. Dude, congratulations on the dub. It's good to finally get you in the interviewer's chair. When you're down 5-1 in a scenario like that, even though you know your defenses are strong and you know that you like your clubhouse, is there anything that you say to the guys in a moment like that? Like, hey, don't pay attention to the scoreline. What do you do in a moment where you have that much of a half that you know you have to come back from?
Yeah, obviously appreciate it for the win. I think with the bans on that club, K topples up. It's going to be a defender-sided map. Albeit I did troll some attacks hardcore. So I told the guys, listen, I messed up some of those attack rounds, and hopefully I made up with it with that one round. But yeah, we just took it round by round. Well, I mean, that's it. We all got confidence in each other to bring that back.
Awesome. I mean, Nafe, just talk to everyone what it's like taking on this pressure of being the main IGL, revamping a team that has been notoriously run by a good IGL. Now you're trying to make a name for yourself. Is there any pressure on your shoulders? How does it feel in a game-to-game when you're down 1-5? You need to call these adaptations. What's going through your mind in your position?
It's pressure for everyone. Everyone's got to perform at the end of the day. But I mean, I look at the guys around me. They make me a lot more confident. Yeah, we're going through a process right now, changing identity, but I mean, with time, we're only going to get better. I'm certain of that. So just game by game at a time.
Kind of a follow-up question to what Fox just asked. For you coming into this role, what is your goal to turn this team into? Like, what do you expect, throughout the rest of the stage, possibly going into Montreal and the future of that? What does that look like for you?
I don't know. We'll see in a month's time.
Well,
All right, fair enough.
that's a fair enough question.
Couldn't coax anything else out of him, huh?
I tried.
Nope.
I tried.
Not getting anything
Not
out of
giving
me.
me nothing.
Fair play.
I guess something that we could get out of you is everyone, the elephant in the room. I mean, big 2v5 clutch.
2v4, yeah.
2v4 clutch where you were under the kitchen hatch. When you're in a moment like that, are you thinking about what's going on? Are you in a flow state? What's going through your mind in that moment?
We'll see what happens.
I'm thinking that guy on the kitchen edge, I'm on my knees praying he does not swing down and kill me, because I'm gonna look like an idiot if I don't shoot the planter and he kills me.
Were you shocked that no one checked that? Like, not even when the bomb planter dropped. Like, were you surprised that he just didn't even look behind him to clear that? That he just immediately stuck his face in the box and went for the plant.
I mean, when I saw them shoot the Grims into box 3,
Yeah.
K9 church, I was like, they might not know I'm here. So I was chilling. I'm just glad that dirt guy swung me after, because I think if that dirt guy just played more passive and they killed me from the vert,
Yeah.
I don't think we would have won. But yeah,
that was a good heads
shout
up play from
out
you.
to the dirt player.
And real quick before we let you go, we've noticed that Kobe is finally in the house with the rest of the guys. Talk to me about what it's been like finally getting him integrated in person with
Y'all
everyone
float?
so far.
Yeah, we're floating. He's good vibes, good vibes. Yeah, I don't know. He's a special kind of guy. I don't know. But yeah, he brings good vibes. Good player. Only the start for him.
Everybody on their team needs a special kind of guy in that case. Nafe, again, congratulations. It's a really good streak for DarkZero so far. Hopefully that continues tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thank you. See you later.
Good stuff from DZ, man. That's 3 straight. I think a lot of people, wouldn't blame you if you totally forgot that Sonic Skyscraper game was a thing at this point. The only reason you might even remember it is because we mention it on the desk occasionally. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the team is comprised by amazing players. Everybody's been there before, and they know how to play well off of each other. Obviously, big changes are going to take time to adjust to. And today, even though it was really close, way to bring it back, good resilience from DarkZero. Still a long way to go, though, because you don't want to go 7-5 against
No.
a team like Wildcard that's at the bottom of the leaderboard currently.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, again, that team is comprised of people that have won SI, people that have won a major, obviously a new player like Koblax. Even in his own right, he won T2 events. So, I mean,
Yep.
they are comprised of a winning roster. It's just a matter of, can we continue to see this? And so far we have. They aren't losing, but I do agree. Going that close with a team like Wildcard that hasn't been improving, sure, you could blame it on default map that everyone knows how to play it, but you should still look like the better team overall, which on the defense, they did that. But still, again, both sides, their attacks were very poor. It really just came down to one round that truly decided the factor of that game.
for a team that already has playoff lights dancing in their eyes like DarkZero, if you're going to make those sorts of mistakes, at least it's happening in best of ones and a round robin, right?
Yeah.
For Wildcard, you need the points desperately, but DarkZero, they're coming into this situation knowing they can do some experimentation with 2 players, and it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
It's definitely the moment to have these growing pains, have these issues where things could slip, and obviously you want to make sure things are a lot more contested. DarkZero won today because they had big players making big plays. You want to make it more consistent, so you don't always have to rely on that front.
Well, commiserations to Wildcard. For DarkZero, things are definitely going on the right path, but coming up next is a game that we still need to figure out whether Oxygen have a chance in this stage. They get to prove it against M80 as Game 2. Next.